Okay, so let's get it started. Again, thank you all for joining this RAP Knowledge Live session for April in Advanced Safety Analysis using ViDA. Today we have a packed agenda, and I am really happy to introduce you to our presenters. We are going to have James Bradford, our Global Technical Director at IRAP. We will have Rachel Nganwa from our Africa RAP lead. We will also have Andre Logman, our Global Technical Development Manager. We will also have an invited speaker. We are really looking forward to hearing from you, Alan Mardo, Project Director from ORIS. And we will have also Dr. Susie Charman, the Executive Director with the Road Safety Foundation, doing a presentation as well today. So let's get it started. Before, just some housekeeping that we always do. This webinar will go for 60 minutes, so we will have an hour for presentations, and then we will have 10 minutes for Q&A. You know that we always like to hear from you, and we are really looking forward to that at the end of the presentation. Once we finished, by tomorrow you will have all the data available for you at irap.org/training, both the presentation in PDF mode and the video for you to download and to revisit the webinar if you want to do it or if you missed it. Just continuing with the housekeeping, during the presentation, I will be reading your questions at the Q&A box and try to allocate the word to the speakers or answer that through writing. And after the presentation is that I will ask you to raise your hands and I'll be allocating the words and the mic for you. So let's give a quick overview. Today's topics, we are going to be seeing, we will start with a presentation on what's ViDA. Then we will see the successes throughout the 10 years of ViDA, the 10 years that ViDA has been in service. Then the recent added features to the IRAP product, the route review tool, introduction to ViDA API, the application of the ViDA API ORIS, the future of ViDA, what are we expecting for the next years of ViDA, and some building capacity in ViDA use that I will take you through in one slide at the end. So before officially starting the meeting, let me say that our life-saving work, it's only possible through the great generosity of our program donors, those who are currently with us and those who have accompanied us in the past. So we are really acknowledging that in this event as well. And also it's important to thank the organizations with whom we have agreements and project level partnerships in place. Their leadership and support is invaluable in enabling life-saving safer roads projects to become a reality. So, yep, being that said, let's start officially. I will give the floor to Rach. So you can start with what's ViDA presentation, Rach. Go ahead, the floor is yours and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks everyone for joining. It's really good to see you all here. To this really interesting presentations that you're going to hear from the presenters. So I'm Rachel, and as Franco said, I'm the Africa RAP lead, and I coordinate the project's elements for IRAP in Africa. And I'll be giving a brief overview of the ViDA platform and how it assists us in to improve road infrastructure safety. Next slide, please, or the one after. Right, so ViDA in translation means life in Spanish and Portuguese. So if you go to Spain and you say ViDA, everyone will say, oh, have a good life type thing. So ViDA means life. And indeed, the ViDA platform and the tools it houses are there to help us all to prevent fatalities and serious injuries on our roads. And it's through the generosity of the donations we get from our partners that we're able to offer this for free. And the platform is accessible online for everybody, which means you can actually access it across the world as long as there's an internet connection. And the portal houses the numerous IRAP products, such as the ones that are listed on this slide. And we use these to analyze, develop star ratings, determine interventions for enhancing safety on our roads, and many other things. Next slide, please, Franco. Right, so I'll give you a very quick idea on the methodology and how and what it does in terms of how ViDA operates. And it helps us to analyze the road attribute data that we put in and we get from our roads as we do assessments. So the information that we collect off our roads, we put it into ViDA, and it helps us to analyze the risks associated with our road in terms of the infrastructure and how it minimizes or prevents crashes from happening. It utilizes this and the supporting data to determine the impact of the road features on safety. From this processing, risk along our assessed network is identified and star ratings are produced. Also, deaths and serious injuries are estimated to determine how many people are likely to die or be seriously injured on our network that we've assessed. Once we know all these, the tools go further to support us in prioritizing the cost-effective interventions that we need to implement in order to reduce the fatalities and serious injuries on our network. So all this data and the information and the outputs and the support and the evidence help to support us all in our decision-making, giving us the evidence that we need to make safe investments that are cost-effective and that are actually going to have an impact on the safety of our network. Next one, please, Franco. So I was introduced to the RAP methodology while I was still working at a road authority in Uganda. And this was in 2009. And since my first introduction to these tools, they've actually evolved quite a lot. I've used them a lot throughout this whole period, and I've actually recognized how impactful some of the key features are and how they really support us engineers to maximize our interventions as we design road infrastructure. The key ones I've listed in this slide up here in the orange section. And in essence, what I've noticed and I've heard and I've seen demonstrated by users is the fact that when you're doing these assessments, it makes your results unbiased because there are numerous resources that IRAP give you to support your work as you develop these assessments, which means that if I do an assessment of a road section and someone else does the same road section, we are likely to get the same results. So we basically takes away the bias of the human. At the same time, the tools allow you to put in your human capacity at the end to then choose the interventions that are likely to work in your country, your region, and your area, making these tools much more globally. You can use them globally. They basically can be implemented in every part of the world because you nationalize the interventions themselves. We also have a user-friendly interface, which means that we can put in data quite easily. It's clear how you insert this data. It's clear what outputs you get out. And as long as you follow the coding manuals and you follow the resources that are given by IRAP, your interventions will be realistic and likely to perform the way you expect them to. In terms of the benefits, we have noted throughout the years that it's actually a very good tool for prioritization of safety interventions. So if you have a huge road network and you have a limited budget, it's a tool that can really help you and assist you in picking the right, prioritizing where you do your first interventions or where you spend your money. So rather than working blind and going off what people's thoughts and beliefs and feelings are, this gives you a scientific evidence to show you where you should be spending your meager resources. It also facilitates collaboration between stakeholders. So whether it's an NGO trying to just have a discussion with the government or planners trying to discuss with each other on where they should be doing some interventions in terms of maintenance, the tools or the information that you get from ViDA actually support you in doing this work. And the interventions in ViDA are always cost effective. We've focused very much on the cost effectiveness of the recommendations that come out of that. So they're more likely to be implemented and others. If we can go to my last slide, I think, Julio. I'm sorry, Franco. Right, so the resources are many, and we don't have a lot of time in this webinar, to be honest with you, to talk through them all. My colleagues who are also on this, who are doing presentations, would be giving you much more detailed information about how they work and the nuances of them. But it's important to know, though, that using these tools to develop your project helps your respective roles in improving safety in a cost-effective way. The information that can be gotten from ViDA is vast and it's varied and is presented in numerous ways to support your varying needs as users. And the tool is intuitive to use and gets better and more user-friendly with each update. So with that, I'd like to hand over to the next speaker, who will give you more detailed and information about the wonderful resource that ViDA is. Thank you so much, Franco.
Thank you so much, Rachel, for your presentation. We don't have questions so far, so we can continue with the presentation. Now it's time for James to take the floor on successes throughout the 10 years of ViDA. So James, all yours and welcome.
Brilliant. And I trust that everybody can see the screen at the moment, successes throughout the 10 years of ViDA. Brilliant. So I'd like to take you through almost the where on earth we started with ViDA and just some of the evolution that we've had with ViDA through the years. But before we start, you've got to say, well, where did it all come from? So IRAP's been around 20 years now. You know, why is ViDA only 10 years old? And that's because prior to ViDA, there was another piece of software called IRAPtools.net. So this was the very first piece of software that was developed by IRAP for star ratings. We learned a lot through it. It had a lot of data going in there for the version 2 model. And it got to that stage where we realized that to actually take the data onto the next stage and the power onto the next stage actually needed some significant architecture changes. And so that's when the concept of ViDA was brought to us back in 2012 by Richard Thornton and his genius of idea of these are the concepts by which we could build a new platform on. So in the early days, ViDA started to be accessible in 2013. In those days, it was actually quite a simple website that you could go to. It just had that login page and then had access to the different results, all in quite an easy, accessible way. And over the years, it's grown from one piece of software, an application, all the way up to a tool suite with multiple functions in there that actually all work harmoniously around that same kind of concepts with the star ratings and the IRAP protocols, accessing the fatality estimations and the investment plans. I think 2014 was for me, one of the big step forwards, because this was the first time we actually made the star rating demonstrator available. Now, firstly, for the end users, that was a leap forward because they could actually start exploring individual 100 meters, looking at different ways they could upgrade it and what the impact on the star rating would be. But also in terms of how we work as IRAP, the actual star rating demonstrator was the first tool that we actually developed in partnership or through an innovation partnership with another organization. So this was with the Research of Highways in China. They were actually developing the initial concepts for this and then actually sent it across to us and shared it with us, IRAP, to actually do the final refinement and actually host it and build it into ViDA. 2015, and I'm just picking off some of the key highlights from each year, so don't worry, I won't go through everything. Saw a big step forward in terms of user permissions, making certain users able to become creators and actually own their own data and control who has access to it and be able to see that data history and stuff like that. Later in the year, there was a big step forward in terms of reporting across networks. So previously, we'd very much looked at the star rating and being able to drill down into individual level. This allowed us to take that step back and say, well, how does that fit in with the concepts of the safe system? 2016 saw the addition of other support for other countries. So in the early days, a lot of it was structured around the file formats used in the UK, US and Australia. But actually, as we went on, we started evolving it, making sure that the European formats for CSV were also utilised. 2017 saw us introduce the SSO. So you might hear me say, what on earth is the SSO? I've never heard that in terms of ViDA. And this is because actually it's one of the components at the heart of ViDA that you very rarely see, you interact with quite a lot, because it's the single sign-on service. So when you actually log into ViDA, you're actually logging into the single sign-on service, and that's the thing that actually coordinates the access to all the different tools within the platform. The reason we added that, because there was a big step forward in terms of adding a complementary tool in the terms of star rating for schools. And that came later on in 2017. 2018, there was a good step forward we saw in terms of reporting. So this is where you actually be able to do parallel reporting of data sets. You could actually look at before and after scenarios and say, how has the road changed? But actually to do that, we had to significantly rejig the filters. And that gave us an opportunity to really take the power of them on to think about how they're going to be interacted with in the future. Later on in that year, we saw the development of the Stories for Design's web app. This was yet another one that was significant. This was actually developed by a partner. So this is PIP in Croatia, developed that for us. And this was all done through World Bank funding. So that was a really good way that we could actually recognize a need, cooperate with others, and develop an innovation partnership around that. 2019 saw us have a big step forward. Up to this point, we had been able to put languages and support different languages within ViDA. But at this time, when we started actually making it much more accessible to others, so that the language management system was added in there to allow the different translators to actually control and coordinate the languages themselves, rather than having to be put into the back end of the software. 2020 was significant in terms of the ViDA API. I'll talk to you a little bit later on about what exactly is the API. But the key thing is it allows us to, or allows ViDA to communicate with other systems. And so this is when in 2020, the World Bank developed the driver piece of software, or the web platform. So this is a crash mapping system that they've made available open source. And what that's able to do is actually talk with ViDA in the background and actually fetch the star ratings and some of the other results. So you can actually look at those in partnership with the actual crash data within a country. 2021 saw the frustration of a lot of people's lives, and that's the introduction of the validator and all the rule sets around uploading that. But in reality, it causes frustration when you're uploading the data, but the messages it provides you are so much clearer in terms of understanding what the issue with your data set is, rather than it just being stopped from uploading. And of course, it increases the quality of that data going into the system, so you can be that much more confident in the results coming out. 2022 saw yet another application of the API, and this was when the YAY was added. So that's a youth engagement app. So this is a complementary app to the Star Rating for Schools, so part of that same initiative. And this is about actually engaging with the youth around the world, so they can actually provide their feedback on what their perception of risk is in and around their schools or in and around their community. And last year saw the introduction of the route review tool. So Susie's going to talk to us a bit more about the route review tool, but this was yet another significant one where we had an innovation partnership focused around that, looking at the expertise and the progress that was being made in the UK, and saying, well, how can we evolve the tools to actually support those clever financial mechanisms that were being put in place for road safety? So in terms of 10 years in numbers, you can see that ViDA has grown significantly from the early days, where I can remember celebrating the first 1,000 users in ViDA, where we're just at the cusp of nearly going into 20,000 people registered on ViDA. And likewise, the volume of data has been skyrocketing in ViDA. But probably the most important thing to say about this is actually what's the impact in terms of number of lives saved from this data, from this work that's going into this tool. And this is where I encourage you all to keep your eyes and ears open, because we'll be announcing in the next few days the next webinar that we'll be hosting. And this is around about the actual impact that's associated with use of the IRAP tools. And some research that's been carried out by Johns Hopkins University on that, and starting to put a very high level estimate on what could that impact be. And the starting point is the data in ViDA, and then that will be then expanded wider to take in the other protocols. So at this point, I'd like to hand over to Andre to take us through some of the more recent features that were added for ViDA.
Thank you, James. Let me share my screen. Right. I just want to make sure is visible. Yep. Thank you very much. So I'll take you through recent added features to the IRAP products. We've added a significant number of improvements throughout a period of time, and we are working continuously on improving UI, production of results, productivity in general for users. So I'll take you through some of the features that were added. So as you see here, the dashboard has been enhanced with the additional of interactive reports through the IRAP wrap-up store application, showcasing the IRAP innovational partnership and our collaborative approach to working with various organizations. A prime example of this collaborative effort is our partnership with ORIS, which illustrates our capability and commitment to working effectively across different organizational structures. This integration not only demonstrates our operational flexibility, but also serves as a model for potential partnerships, highlighting our ability to adapt and deliver in diverse cooperative environments. Also, one of the significant updates is My Data page, which serves as a centralized hub for users to access and manage their project-specific data effectively. It provides intuitive navigation, as you see on a video, for viewing, organizing, and managing datasets, ensuring that users can easily maintain control over their information. And there is plenty of functionality accompanied in that page. From this page also, you can edit datasets directly. So it serves as a time-saving feature as well. The integration of the vehicle flow AADT attribute into the road attribute matrix provides users with a precise measurement of average annual daily traffic on specific road segments. This enhancement significantly deepens the level of traffic analysis available, allowing for a more granular understanding of traffic patterns and densities. As a result, transportation professionals and urban planners can access critical data, enabling more informed decisions for traffic management and road safety improvement. All results that are displayed within the table on our platform now feature the icon that appears when hovering over. This icon, when clicked, initiates the download of a CSV file containing the exact extract data presented in the table. This functionality streamlines the data extraction, allowing users to similarly export their results for deep analysis or reporting purposes outside of the platform. The new strip currency feature enables users to view investment plans in a variety of currencies over selected periods, enhancing the adaptability and relevance of financial planning. This enhancement significantly improves usability, offers users a more tailored and informative experience when accessing investment plans. The edit dataset from filters, one of the significant improvements that was introduced recently, and it allows users to edit dataset from filters, as you see, which enabling users to directly modify their dataset from that page. This functionality streamlines the editing process, saving the time and boosting users' productivity. Users now can make quick adjustments without navigating away, fostering a more efficient workflow. The quality assurance feature provides visibility into the status of datasets that have undergone quality assurance, allowing users to easily identify which ones have been checked. Users have flexibility to modify the status and resubmit datasets to quality review after implementing any necessary changes to datasets. This capability ensures that datasets can be quality assured at any stage of development, enhancing overall data integrity and accuracy. The recent update has transitioned the country designation from project level to the dataset level, granting users greater flexibility to move their datasets between different projects and countries. These enhancements particularly facilitate the transfer of datasets from the sandbox into their respective more relevant projects, streamlining organization and accessibility. The recent updates to the My Data Processing section on the ViDA dashboard have significantly enhanced the visibility of a dataset processing, allowing users to access detailed information about their datasets and observe the volume of data processed in ViDA daily. This update is part of our ongoing effort to enhance usability, making it easier and more efficient for users to interact with their data. Additionally, users will experience noticeable improvements in ViDA's processing speed, which has recently been significantly optimized. These enhancements are designed to streamline users' workflows and improve overall satisfaction with the platform's performance. We're excited to announce the addition of SR4D version 2 to our dashboard, featuring the refreshed design and an array of new functionalities aimed at enhancing users' experience. This latest version represents our commitment to continuous improvement, incorporating advanced features that streamline operations and increase efficiency. Further enhancements are currently in development, ensuring that SR4D will continue to evolve and meet the dynamic needs of our users. I invite you to test it out yourselves and see the functionality to test it. And if you notice anything you would like to see in SR4D or would like to suggest any feature, you are welcome to do so. The speed at which a star rating is achieved is a routine calculation designed to determine the speed at which a road should operate to attain a 3, 4, or 5-star safety rating for each specific road user group. This routine takes into account various factors and recommends speed limits that enhance safety and minimize risks, thereby facilitating improving road safety outcomes for pedestrians, cyclists, motorists, and other road users. It is a background routine that has been added to ViDA API, and it will initially be used as part of RRT, which will be represented later on. But I'm sure we'll start using it in ViDA more widely. And moving on to meet the team slide. So I'd like you to meet the team who is behind of many developments and improvements in ViDA. So I'd like you to meet our dynamic development team, Anna Alexander, Samrat Ray, James Bridge Butler, and Michael Jarvis, who are collectively bringing a wealth of expertise in full stack development and system administration. Their collaborative efforts are significantly advanced our core projects, enhancing our tools and maintaining robust infrastructure to ensure our technology remains at the forefront of performance and reliability. So everyone is been represented here who works on ViDA and makes it live and allows us to save lives. And at this part, I would like to give a word to Susie, Dr. Susie.
Thank you, Andreas. I'm just going to work out how to get all of the technology working. So bear with me. And I'm hoping that you can see my screen.
Yep.
Excellent. Thank you, guys. So it's my pleasure to be here today and talk with you about the root review tool that some of you have already heard mentioned in some of the previous presentations. That's the RRT in short. So what is this all about? So how does it fit in with the IRAP surveys that you might already be doing? So you can see on the diagram here that your starting point when doing an IRAP survey is always to gather the data that's necessary, either from pre-existing sources as per the AIRAP initiative, through undertaking surveys where we video and then code, or through taking attributes from road designs. The data that are obtained are fed into the IRAP ViDA tools for processing, which generates star ratings, Bateman series injury estimates, and a safer roads investment plan that Rach showed in her presentation earlier. Following on from this, we want to move one step closer to implementation. So the user-defined investment plan is the next step at the root level. The IRAP system has for a long time offered the chance for experienced coding experts and analysts to create user-defined investment plans by effectively allowing a revised core coding file to be inputted into the system to model the impact of a set of treatments on star ratings and expected Bateman series injuries. If you know how to do this, and you can do it reliably, it's an incredibly effective and powerful tool for modelling the road safety impact of potential treatment plans. The only challenge is that for people like me, it can be quite fiddly to do. It requires making changes to large spreadsheets to come up with those post-treatment scenarios. And there's an opportunity to make mistakes unless great care is taken. Then along came the Safer Roads Fund in the UK, an initiative that we developed with the Department for Transport, where £100 million of funding was being made available to 30 local authorities with high-risk roads to treat 50 routes. All the applications needed to go in at a fast pace and at the same time. So we could see that there was a challenge looming. How would we capture all of the treatment plans and model these manually when we expected local authorities to be working on their schemes right up to the deadline for funding applications? So James Bradford at IRAP produced a spreadsheet-based system that would allow the local authorities to enter in their proposed countermeasures they wanted to be modelled in a strip plan. And this was all done in spreadsheets, and they would be able to select their countermeasures they wanted to apply at different chainages. What we would then do is take those files, we'd run them through ViDA and a very, very clever system that James came up with, and then we would return them with the answer, just the answer. A bit black boxy, really, if we're honest, because there was no opportunity for those local authorities to interact with the system other than to tell us what they wanted to implement. It was a massive advance, though, but not without some challenges. The spreadsheets were marked up with changes, but ensuring that the road authority applied a countermeasure to the correct 100-metre section was a little bit tricky. We'd have to work through manually where maybe the road authority proposed to improve a junction 100 metres adrift to where the coding of the junction existed so that we could get the results that were required. It was rather tedious. But it did happen, and we're really pleased that we were able to get £100 million worth of funding out to local authorities to improve their roads. And you can see the results of that first Safe Roads Fund initiative on the screen there, with a portfolio benefit of 4.4. It was the first time we were able to demonstrate at a large scale what was possible if there were large scale investments in local roads. But there must be easier ways of doing this, we thought. So we set about designing a more user-friendly system to support the creation of a user-defined investment plan. So this is where the route review tool came in. So using a fair voluntary contribution that National Highways have made to IRAP to fulfil the ViDA terms and conditions for high-income countries, we started to work on the route review tool. This had been developed to more readily enable road safety engineers to take forward that Safer Roads investment plan and create that user-defined investment plan in a more interactive and satisfactory manner. In the tool, we were able to provide an image of the road and key information like the fatal and serious injury profile and the speed profile, whilst giving the opportunity to turn on and off countermeasures and pass these back through the system modelling so the impact on the star ratings and fatal and serious injuries could be generated to support the business case development. So here we'd be taking the Safe Roads investment plan, allowing practitioners to apply their local knowledge and expertise and then create their own user-defined investment plan. In a parallel stream of work for the Road Safety Trust, we also developed some further urban road safety measures that included some speed management interventions for the first time. More recently, when we've been undertaking the route review process, we've developed quite a clear, I hope, process for undertaking those route developments. So first of all, we start with an initial meeting with the road authority staff to take a step back and really understand how the road is performing, looking at the fatal and serious injury profiles, the speed profiles in the route review tool, and the overall star ratings. We look at what's in the Safer Roads investment plan, because this can give us clues about what direction to go in. We then ask the road authority to help us to refine the baseline, here reviewing intersecting road volumes, pedestrian and cycle flows in particular. And then we look at active travel demand on the route. And if we feel that's been suppressed because there just aren't the right facilities or speed environment for active travel, we'll elevate active travel levels to reflect what we want to happen on the route in terms of walking and cycling rather than who's brave enough at the moment. Then we have a speed management approach meeting, and this is where we discuss potential approaches to speed management on the route. And if the speeds don't align with survival safe system speeds, here we might model the impact of speed limit changes on an 85th percentile and mean speeds, or we might look at the impact of using vehicle activated signs or traffic calming. It gives us the impact of the speed related approaches on star ratings and gives us a quantification of the expected fatal and serious injury savings. Then, and only then, when the speed management scenario is complete, we then look at the road safety engineering measures in the route review tool. And the reason we do this is because countermeasures will be more or less effective depending on the speed of traffic. So here we're trying to match the risk identified with locally appropriate and feasible treatments. And then finally, we do a bit of assurance. So this is a process that we go through and has been used in the latest Safer Roads Fund work for DFT using this route review tool. And again, the schemes have been really impactful. So this is the latest Safer Roads Fund results, and we think, again, that we're going to have a chance to prevent 1,150 fatal and serious injuries using that £100 million investment with a portfolio BCR, very compelling, of 6.4. We've been able now to secure further funding from National Highways and supportive funding from the Department for Transport through the Safer Roads Fund project to further develop the route review tool. The next version, and watch this space because there'll be more information coming soon, includes the chance to do all of those steps I just described in a stepwise fashion, all within the tool rather than in spreadsheets outside of the tool. There's a wizard that will take you through those stepwise processes, and we've added many speed management countermeasures for application and introduced concepts such as functional speed and safe speed that you've already seen a little bit of in Andreas's presentation. So the tool now really reflects the demands of the safe system, and we're really grateful for the collaboration that we've experienced in the UK with the Department for Transport and National Highways in helping to realise the route review tool and being able to share this with the rest of the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Susie, for your presentation. Let's go to James, who is going to talk about the interaction to the ViDA API. So James.
So yeah, this is what I wanted to talk a little bit more about, the ViDA API that I mentioned earlier. And what on earth is it? So API stands for Application Programming Interface. And basically, it's what allows pieces of software to talk to each other. So initially, you think of ViDA as just a web platform that you go to and you interact with it. And you interact with it through its website, whether it's on a laptop or whether it's on a tablet or a mobile phone. But actually, what's happening behind the scenes is that what we refer to as the front end is actually talking to a tool called the ViDA API. And this is providing communication back to the database. So every time you say, oh, I want to see these results, it'll actually talk to the API and say, is this user allowed to see these results? Please, can I have these results? The API will then ask the database for those and return them back to ViDA so it can put them and display them to the user. Now, this seems like maybe an unnecessary step in the process when you consider it just at this level, but it's when you consider what else it can do, and that's in terms of talking to other systems. So in the early days, it was talking very much to star rating for schools, and it allowed us to do a lot more functionality whilst still storing the star rating results and calculating those within ViDA, but providing those users with a seamless interface. And of course, more recently, as Alan will be presenting in a couple of seconds, is a really good example with what's happened with ORIS, where we recognize that the IRAP star ratings, investment plans, and fatality estimations give you significant insight in terms of road safety, but there'll be significant other impacts that could be happening in terms of the environment and how you build those roads and how you upgrade those roads. And that's where the skill and the knowledge of people like ORIS come in. And likewise, in the future, there's going to be multiple different ways where we've got road authorities already exploring about how can they be integrating their asset management systems with ViDA. So actually the road engineers within the authority can stay within their asset management system, bringing up the history of the roads, likewise with the current safety and current condition, all that kind of impressive functionality. But this is where I'm going to hand over to Alan so he can provide us with a bit more information on ORIS and just quite what impressive things the ORIS is able to do.
Thanks a lot, James, and hello, everyone. So, of course, I would like to start by thanking the IRAP team for inviting me to represent ORIS in this webinar. For my side, I'm a civil engineer with a Master's of Science in Material Science for Sustainable Construction, and I'm excited to share a success story in Uzbekistan, where we integrated the IRAP safety analysis for a holistic road project design assessment at an early stage. Next slide, please, Franco. So I will start by introducing ORIS, the company I work for, followed by our history with IRAP, and then I will get to our main topic. So what is ORIS? ORIS is a mission-driven company, and to make it short, our goal is to empower the construction sector to design efficient, resilient, and low-carbon solutions. And of course, to do that, safety plays a crucial role. We will see how a bit later. To achieve this, we combine expertise in construction materials, advanced technologies, and environmental science. And this is how we can picture ORIS at the center of all those three expertises. Regarding our history with IRAP, we started in 2022, where we had to undertake 2 projects. And then we trained on the safety assessment using star rating for designs and also ViDA. And this is me and my colleague Hugo who got certified in 2022. Then, based on one of both projects, which I will present a bit later, the Uzbekistan project, we showcase the capabilities of combining both platforms. And this is where we signed an MOU with IRAP. And the third phase came in where we started to undertake some research and development to see some pavement degradation models and safety kind of dependencies. Of course, in parallel, we had other colleagues that were being certified, and we are at a stage now where, while we're waiting for the next projects to come, we're looking at this interconnection in between ORIS and IRAP for both systems, and we already started with something for this Uzbekistan project. So why is this important? It's because us as ORIS and IRAP share a very common vision. It's to make the right decisions and optimize really early in the process. So ORIS focuses on the design choices, and by that also it's the material choices impact in terms of sustainability, cost effectiveness, natural resources consumption, and resilience. However, those design choices will impact not only those criteria I mentioned, but also safety. We know that the choices of design, the choices of material will also impact the safety of the road. And integrating safety assessments with IRAP will maximize this project's overall potential from all those different perspectives. Why is the focus really on the early stage? Because as we know it, at this stage, the opportunity to improve the design to its maximum potential will really be the maximum. And if we start taking important decisions later in the process, this potential will be drastically reduced. And it's really important to know that it's not straightforward with all those interdependencies in between safety, materials, CO2, costs, and we really need to have this global picture overview. And this is where IRAP integration to ORIS and having overall this picture really helped a lot in this process of iterative design at early stage to understand really the big picture and the maximum potential we can get. So let's get to our case study, the Uzbekistan A380. It's a strategic transport corridor that is part of the CAREC, so the Central Asia Regional Economic Cooperation Corridor, and it was required to improve the design performance of this existing road. So for this project, we mainly had the cost, CO2 emissions, material consumption, resilience to climate change, and we integrated as well the IRAP assessment through ViDA within the platform. So we can see here, for example, previous slide, please. We can see in the platform the safety undertaken for this road. So definitely this has been undertaken on the ViDA platform, and then the results are integrated back into ORIS to have a centralized and holistic overview. We can see the star rating, which is below the 3 star ratings that is recommended. Then we managed to implement countermeasures. So next slide, please. Where we can see here the star rating after. So we can see the smooth one below that are summarized, and we can enable to visualize the countermeasures geolocated and to be able to know what are the recommended countermeasures. So this being said, we have this centralized kind of approach that enables us to see the full scope, the results where multiple scenarios are iteratively assessed and compared. And this presents the optimization for the costs and all the other kind of key performance indicators. To note that for this project, with this iterative approach, including safety, there is a potential to reduce the cost as per the initial plan-based design by $3.2 million. The carbon emissions, we can see the amount of carbon footprint that can be avoided, the amount of natural resources, water in such a crucial area. And definitely if we focus also on road safety, there's about 56% injuries and fatalities that can be avoided through integrating also the ViDA assessment. So we see really the importance of having both platforms talking to each other through APIs in order to really maximize the full potential and have this full view on the maximum improvement that we can do at a really early stage. So thanks a lot, Franco, and back to you.
Thank you very much, Alain, for your presentation. And now we are going to another presentation with Andre, about the future of ViDA. So, Andre.
Thank you, Franco. And let me take you through future of ViDA slide. So in the terms of future of ViDA, you can see that the IRAP models are applicable to the whole road cycle, life cycle. So one of the directions we plan to go with ViDA is ensuring that it supports each stage. Next, I'll take you through a couple of ways we are doing this. As Susie said earlier, an update to the route review tool will be coming in the near term. This update focused on adding speed management countermeasures and associated data visualizations to support them. This includes lead safety indicators associated with speed that will provide a high-level view of the data sets, the ability to classify the data set into road functions, the ability to classify the speed overview of exploring the relationships between the speed data, speed countermeasures that can be selected for each 100 meters, an updated speed profile that now includes the speed required to achieve 3, 4, and 5 stars, plus a new active travel profile to see how the flows vary along the route. So as you see on a presentation, all of these functionalities are presented. Allowing you to estimate profile and see the speeds. Right, in the medium term, thanks for funding from the Millennium Challenge Corporation, we will be releasing a screening tool. The aim of this tool is to enable high-level assessments to both guide network screening and support early in the design phase. The network screening will enable a road network to be segmented by the user, using existing data and knowledge of the network to break down the network. Eventually, they will get to the point where each segment can or could be considered a homogeneous group, at which point road stereotypes can be created for each segment. Stereotypes could be either selected from the saved road sections library or custom created. Once road stereotypes have been defined for each segment, they will get a high-level view of network, helping to guide them where to carry out more detailed assessments. It will also help to create scenarios on how the network can be upgraded. Alternatively, the approach can be applied to individual road sections. Here you can see a 31-kilometer section of road where the first 3.5 kilometers has been segmented. A stereotype can then be assigned to a segment. Intersection curves and pedestrian crossings can be added to a location as a location-specific features or as a density. Once the stereotypes have been assigned to the whole road, you'll get a high-level understanding of risk for different road users. And more importantly, the opportunity to explore the impact over other options for designing the road. So as you see here on the screen, so it is a concept, but that's the tool we're working on currently. And soon, this year, it will be available. So now I can move to IRAP product roadmap. Here you can see part of how the IRA products will evolve over coming years and how in models and development tool are going to be evolving as well. Of course, these are only possible due to the IRAP supporters and although innovational partnerships. So we have quite extensive plans for building and ViDA 2.0 as well, upgrading current ViDA to a newer version with new features and different look as well. And also developing other models. Thank you. That was this part for me.
Thank you very much, Andre, for the presentation. I'm going to share my screen back again. Yeah, we are reaching the end of the presentation. We still have 2 minutes, and I want to share one last slide with you in terms of this topic, building capacity in ViDA use. I mean, we have had great presentations by Andre, James, Susie, Rachel, and Alan. And the idea is to know how to use ViDA to create good quality data. I mean, the quality of the data that we are using into ViDA when you're creating your data sets and your projects, it's critical in order to have good quality projects that then can save lives in the roads, right? So how can you build capacity? Well, you can start through training and then undergo accreditation. For sure, experience build mastership. And we are really looking forward to having you taking these trainings in order to enhance your abilities in using ViDA, as I was saying, to create these good quality projects. There are many training courses that we are currently uh, offering in our training platform, but the most important that I would recommend you is to take the Star Rating Essentials. That will give you a basic level of knowledge of how to operate the different tools in ViDA. And then there is a more precise course, which is called How to Achieve a Star Rating Target, that will give you even more information on how to get expertise in the usage of ViDA. In terms of accreditation, after taking the proper training, I would invite you to get an accreditation in analysis and reporting, which is the accreditation that basically certifies your mastership in using ViDA, creating good investment plans, and as I was saying, taking this to the real life and saving a lot of lives with the road improvements. So yeah, it's 1 hour from the time we started. So yeah, we did it on time. Congratulations to all the speakers for that. So we will go now to the Q&A session. We have 10 minutes. And as I was saying, we are really looking forward to having you directing questions to the speakers by speaking, let's say, using your microphones. So the only thing I will ask you is to raise your hands so that I can allocate the microphone usage in order, and then we can wrap it up. But it would be good to have this opportunity to share. I'm going to stop sharing my screen because we won't need that for the Q&A. And let's start with Mamadou. You should be able to speak now. You should be able to unmute yourself now, Mamadou. Mm, maybe you raised your hand accidentally. Let's see if we have other hand raised and we can allocate the word. Again, let's go with Osenu. Osenu. Sorry if I mispronounced that. You should be able to use your mic now.
Ousseynou Mane. My name is Ousseynou Mane.
Yep.
I live in Senegal, but I have any question. I want to congratulation this presentation. I am very happy. Thank you very much.
Thank you for participating, Osenu, and really looking forward to continue having you in these events. So yeah, really thankful for your comment. There's Harry who also wants, I think, to direct a question. So Harry, you should be able now.
Thank you. I just wanted to inquire, to what extent do the countermeasures that you can choose from link to human factors? Have they been shown to be reliable, knowing how people react to different measures?
Yep. So all the countermeasures that have been included, and typically they focus on changes the road authority can make, but of course a lot of those changes will have ripples through into user behaviour. So in terms of changing the median type, can have impacts in terms of speed and whatnot. All of those risks, all those countermeasures change stuff within the star rating model, which is all based on crash reduction factors or crash modification factors, and these all have very strong evidence behind them. So if you want to dig into some of that research, that's all been published on the IRAP website within the methodology sections. You can actually look through and go, okay, so median type is based on these published papers. So yeah, it's all out there in the public domain.
Thank you.
Thank you
Can I
so
chip
much.
in on the
Yeah, go ahead,
review
Susie.
tool? The new speed management measures that are coming in the latest version of the route review tool are primarily about influencing driver behaviour, and those countermeasures will be available soon to you through the route review tool. It's all based again on published studies showing what the effectiveness is of different measures on speed choice. So for example, if you reduce a speed limit by 10 miles per hour or 10 kilometers per hour without doing anything else, you can expect there to be very small but very significant reductions in travelled speed. So 2 to 3 miles per hour typically for a 10 mile per hour speed reduction. Equally, there are things like vehicle activated signs that illuminate if you approach them going too fast, then that also has a behavioural impact, but only over a short length of road. So it will initially make you bring your speed down by a couple of miles an hour, a couple of kilometres per hour, but that will wear off quite quickly and people return back up to high speeds. Also, enforcement measures like average speed cameras and spot speed cameras and so on are also included in there, together with things like gateways, which denote the fact that you're changing your road environment, pinch points and horizontal, vertical deflections, and so on. So there's a lot more coming through now in terms of those measures that might influence human behaviour.
Thank you so much, Harry, for your question, Susie and James for your answers. We have 2 hands raised. Now we have Ami ready. Ami ready, you should be able now to use the microphone.
Hello. Can you hear me? Yeah. Hi, thanks for the webinar. I have learned a lot from this webinar. Thanks for the information. Actually, my question regarding the class map. Can you elaborate it in a simply way?
Sorry, I didn't quite understand the question. The line was a bit noisy. Could you repeat your question again, please?
You have mentioned the cross risk maps.
Yes.
Cross risk. Yeah, I need some more information about it. Can you elaborate?
Yes, so at the moment, the crash risk maps are not included within ViDA, but they are still very much possible to do those. And what we just do, or just about to do, is release an update to the manuals on the IRAP website. So I'd strongly encourage you to go to the IRAP website, look at the methodology area. No, on the, I think it's methodology area, and actually look at those manuals, specifications area, and look at those manuals, and feel free to contact either myself or other people within the IRAP team if you want further support with creating those. But of course, with the crash risk maps, that relies on crash data. So the very first question is, is there significant, accurate and reliable crash data to be able to produce those within your region or within your country?
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much, Ami, ready for your question, and James for the answer. And let's go with the last question. We have Simon raising the hand. So Simon, you should be now able to take the floor.
Yeah, good afternoon. Thank you. A question, it might be unrelated to some of this, but I'm currently involved in a project that's looking at climate change and climate resilience in terms of maybe kind of increasing the size of culverts along a road, improving maintenance. And one point that was raised in some of the discussion is the road safety risk of flooding, the fact that when road surfaces are inundated, are saturated, there's a greater risk of skidding, aquaplaning, and so on. And it just occurred to me, is there any way to kind of bring this into ViDA products? Is there scope to bring it together? I'm wondering whether maybe it's a step too far at this stage, or how it would be done. Thank you.
Yeah, brilliant question, Simon. And at the moment, we haven't been able to crack that one, but we will be able to. I dare say, with partnerships like with the equivalent of RS. And certainly if where people have expertise or have come across people with expertise around the world in that kind of area, please get in contact with us, because it's certainly something that I'd love to be able to build into the tools with having that resilience type of approach within there, because I know that it's a very big problem in a lot of countries, and it's only becoming worse with changes in the climate. In addition, I know that some in the background asked about whether ViDA had been integrated yet with the AP RSO. Not yet, and we certainly would be happy to integrate with it. But it's very much, they would have to reach out to us so we can understand the compatibility of the systems and whatnot. And likewise, you also ask about the World Bank's driver crash analysis system. Yes, that already can integrate with ViDA. And so where that's been set up in a country, you need to update to one of the more recent versions of driver, and that incorporates the functionality to do that, and then a broker ID for your installation of driver. Your specific application needs to be added in there, but it's certainly all possible, and therefore can fetch the star ratings into your instance of driver.
Thank you so much, Simon, and thank you so much, James. If there is time, only one more question for Laurent. Laurent, please, you should be able now to speak.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Laurent. We can hear you perfectly.
Thank you. So thank you very much, and I congratulate every one of you for the very good presentation. And I had two questions. One I'd like to Oris, and I heard about the carbon emission. So my first question was based on the development of the vehicle technology with regard to the EVs, or low carbon emission, focusing on the climate impact. So how does this ORIS will enable to interface this impact in future with regard to the carbon emission development? My second question is that I've been going through some literature and see how the development of the artificial intelligence with interaction between the vehicle, road environment, and the user based on the modern vehicle technology. So how does this ViDA in the future will be able to interface this development and enable the engineer to balance the impact of the speed and the environment? Thank you.
Thank you, Laurent. I'll address the first question. So mainly on ORIS, the way that we can undertake that is today we have use phase stage. So mainly the LCA stages are A1 to A5, which encompasses the construction and the acquiring of the material, their transportation to the project. Then we have all the B stages, including the use phase, when the asset will be used, and we have all the maintenance scenario. And mainly within the modeling, we can, based on the traffic estimates, and of course, including other parameters such as deflection, albedo, that will impact also the road. One of them also being the energy that is being used on by the vehicles driving on the road. We can also estimate what are the vehicle consumption that will be using the road. And this is, of course, subject to parameters. So we can either measure what's currently being done, but we can also iterate to see how we can progress and better reduce the impact of carbon emission at this specific stage. I hope this answers your question.
Thank you very much, Anton.
My pleasure.
In terms of technology and the future of ViDA and AI and whatnot, there's lots and lots of potential. So and this is on a number of different fields. So certainly one thing to look out for and have an explore on the IRAP website is initiative we've coined as AI RAPs. That's Advanced and Intelligent RAP. And that's actually looking at different data sources. So to actually potentially replace some of that manual data assessment. But likewise, also considering about what the interactions are out into automotives, and especially the ones that are developing with self-guided driving. And certainly one of the other things is looking at about what kind of infrastructure do those vehicles as they're being developed need? Because it's not just going to be about a smooth surface to drive on, because they'll need to actually work in harmony with the existing vehicle fleet for quite a long time. So considering about what kind of lines they need on the road, how bright they need to be, how retroreflective they need to be. And certainly as it goes on, and as we're seeing vehicles get more and more technology, certainly we need to consider that and about how the speeds increase potentially with those vehicles. And how we need to actually manage that increase in energy going on. So yeah, it's a big field, but we're doing lots of research and certainly evolving in that area.
Thank you very much, James.
Thank you very much, Laurent, for these questions, and also Alain and James for their answers. So yeah, I see some questions in the Q&A panel, and I see that our speakers are addressing them. So just to finish the meeting, I would like to share this slide that we always do share, which is your regional contacts. Who is your contact point depending on where you are? It's always important to know it. We have Greg Smith, our global program director for Asia Pacific region. Then we have Olivera Rossi for Europe, our Safer Journeys lead for Europe. Edgar Zamora, our Safer Journeys lead, but this time for the Americas. And we have Natalie Chavasa, our Safer Journeys lead for Africa. So depending on your region, these are your contact points. And you can always, of course, as well contact me, and I will be happy to direct you to the correct person depending on the topic that you need some answer on. So I will stop sharing once again, and I just want to take 1 minute to thank you all. First of all, our speakers for taking the time today with their packed agendas to be 1 hour with us, sharing all of all of this knowledge. So thank you so much, Rachel, Susie, James, Andre, and Alan. And a big special thanks to all of you, because you also have packed agendas as well. And you have been with us 80 minutes. And yeah, hopefully we will meet in the next Rap Knowledge Live event. Soon we will have the comms for that, and we'll be looking forward to having you. So thank you all, and see you in the next edition.